Hello traders, how are you? Happy weekend. Vladimir Ribakov here from Traders Academy Club, and welcome to the weekly review over the markets for the week starting of 22nd to 27th of April 2018. So first of all, thank you very much for your time watching this video. I hope this video is helpful for you and help you to set up your trading for the coming week, give you some useful ideas which you can take with you and enjoy in your favor. If you enjoyed the video, please give your support back, hit the like button, leave your feedback below the video. Your feedback, my motivation to keep doing that. It's not a secret, I always say that, and when I know it's helpful for you, when I know you benefit from watching the video, it means it worth working for that, and it worth bringing it up for you. Previous week was wonderful week, I would say. Majority of the things we were looking to happen did happen. The moves provided the levels we wanted to see, the levels we wanted to get, and the way it is forming, there is a chance we are going to be exposed to some more wonderful opportunities. So let's start going over that and see what do we have. So first of all, I would like to start with the dollar index. This one is very interesting. Let me put it here. A very interesting situation here. We have the cycle over the weekly chart and the 61.8. As I explained on the previous week, for those who watched, and of course for those who didn't watch, you can always go back and see how we do the follow-up from week to week, right? And share new ideas. So dollar index was one of the things we were following. Now this bullish divergence here, followed with the 61.8 Fibonacci expansion level, bring us to the conclusion that around this zone we can start looking for the corrections. So far so good. And all that is relevant, of course, as long as this low holds. But even if this low would not be holding and we get a spike down, we are still dancing around the 61.8. So from my point of view, the way it looks right now, even if there will be corrections, unless there will be any dramatic change from the US, the US dollar is expected to continue and gain the momentum. One of the things we wanted to see was the breakout of the 4-hour chart trend, and which did happen on the previous week, and that was basically the one that was leading for the dollar's trends during the second part of the week, closer to the end of it. And now look what the index is trying to do. We are getting here inside, well, kind of a triangle here. Right from the bottom, we have beautiful situation here. If it managed to break and hold above, that could be a very, very serious sign for the continuation. Now, if we take a look here over the previous cycle that we've had over the daily chart, it's a very visual count of a special cycle, or for the Elliott wave traders of you, we count this way. I'm not a big Elliott wave trader, so I'm sorry for that. So basically we are good to go towards this area at least, and then according to the weekly cycle it can also of course go and develop further, but it will take a while. So if we manage to break this triangle and hold above that and basically go closer to the retest, that's a great place to look for the longs and continuation. Now that is what brings me to the euro dollar, which is kind of a mirror to the dollar index. And the euro dollar, basically, as long as it is below this cycle, this is a 61.8 expansion, which we can figure out by throwing the Fibonacci expansion right here on the weekly chart. We figure out that we are dancing around the same level. There is divergence, so the bears are going to take the control. The biggest question is, are they already in it or not yet? And we will get the answer for that on the coming weeks. So basically what is happening right now is that the euro dollar is holding a triangle by itself right here, At the moment it will manage to break below that. It's also a horizontal range, which we can figure out here at top and here at bottom. Once we manage to break through that, we can expect the euro dollar take us further down towards the zone of 117, 118, which would be the 38.2 of the weekly cycle. So this is it, but the bottom line for the euro dollar, as I explained for several weeks now, as long as we are below the top of the range and as long as we are creating lower highs, as you can see, high, not like high, high like a high, like a top, and a new high here, they are going down, right? So as long as this is the case, the euro dollar is pretty much in a good condition for possible continuation. Who knows, maybe we are here going to be exposed for channel trading here as well. The only thing that could be suspicious for the euro dollar is if we manage to go below this trend line. If we go above that, which could happen, right? Above that and hold, then the euro dollar is going to clean. Oh, you don't see what I write, right? I will I just write clean this area here. Okay, like a spike, clean, and then a possible drop down. So as long as we are below this trend line, we are good for the sells. Basically what happened recently on the last week is that we broke this trend line. This is kind of a short-term invalidation, which means as long as we are below that, that's the levels we can go and look for possible sell continuation towards the these levels on the short term and much lower on the longer term. Pound dollar, we were expecting the zone of 145 approximately, and we can say that we are almost there, right? Around the 144 was hit slightly lower, and as we expected, that might turn to be a possible double top, which it looks it does. So the way the pound dollar looks right now, with this engulfing right on the psychological zone next to 145, and the fact that we are now breaking, as you can see on the last rally, on the daily rally, right? Not the weekly. The weekly is horizontal trend line. Here we are breaking through the trend line. So if we successfully on the daily cycle gain the idea of lower lows, we can start looking like this, looking for sells, and who knows how it will turn to be. One of the possibilities is basically the range, right? And the second possibility is basically a move down, get us lower lows on the weekly chart, and get 1 and 2, which is a very big possibility considering the cycle that we were exposed to from the weekly chart. So that's definitely something to pay attention to, which also could turn to be a special cycle. 1, 2, 3, right? Many possibilities here. The bottom line, we can start looking for short term, at least short term sells. The ideal would be if we manage to break below this area. Now I want to pay your attention to some levels that are created here on the 1 hour chart. This is the critical zone of the daily, as we saw before. You can see that there is divergence building up here, so we can expect some retraces, right? At least for the beginning of the week. I do want to pay attention to this level, as you can see right here. That's the sorry. Let's go to the 1 hour chart. Here we go. Okay, so this basically is where the critical zone is building up at, right here. If we take a look on the view, 161.8 could be in a play on the on this zone, and from here we also have the action zone right on the place. We can start looking for possible retraces to the downside. And the one I was drawing before, you can see that we have here the extension to 360, that should be 461 actually, 361.8 and 461.8, full very extended cycle on the, well, on very big volumes. Critical zones, everything related to the 61.8 on Fibonacci is critical zone, golden area, and that's where we can start looking for the possible retraces at. And the pound dollar now on the bullish view, you can start to pay attention to 23rd as a very high possibility, and if not, then we are going straight towards the 28th. So the beginning of the week is critical for the pound dollar on the short term, and I would not be surprised if we get the reversal from here, and then from these areas to start looking for the continuation down. Okay, euro pound is our next pair. On the euro pound we got, what is my euro pound? Here. On the euro pound we got exactly what we wanted to see, the pull back. Now the biggest question would be how serious this pullback would be. Currently it's still here. This is the critical zone for the pair, so on this area we might get the corrections. It could be in 1, 2, or the alternative for this pair would be a play in a range, right? So basically we are good with the entire view here over this situation toward 38 and 50 for long term continuation. So on the short term, basically as long as this low holds, we can start looking for pullbacks and continuation. All right, that's for the euro pound. Dollar yen so far following our plan, basically by the book. Let's remove the unnecessary lines. And on the daily view, just one quick to remind you, we are expecting this pair to get us towards the area, right? Which means on the lower time frame, exactly like planned by previous week, that's our critical areas. So if we that's the options for the pair to move and a rally, deeper move and a rally, or alternatively we break here through, we retest, and we continue further. Okay, that's how I see the dollar yen. Buy dips, as simple as that. Everyone with his or her own strategies, of course, but for me it's basically still bullish. Now the one I do want to pay attention to is the euro yen. Now euro yen is very, very interesting. According to the weekly double cycle, this one we would expect 1, 2. The question is it ready already or not? Now on a daily chart, that's a bearish hidden divergence, and on the 4-hour chart we got ourselves here the last trendline breakout. Now it's a good breakout definitely to get involved with, but the big trend line is still not broken. So the big trend line has to be broken in order to gain a real momentum. Meanwhile, we do need to pay attention to this possibility of false breaks, and some kind of range movement. So for us, as long as this top holds, this high holds, we are looking to sell rallies. That's the idea. If this high is broken, then I would say we are going a bit higher towards the 161.8, which is taking us to the zone of 134.50. Okay, so we can dance around this ranging area for some time and look for sells. And if we break above that, then we might get going to the 134.50, and then the good sells. And of course, don't forget, if we break below the trend line, we are selling rallies. That's for the Euro yen. Pound yen is another one that is building up a beautiful bearish hidden divergence now, which is finally trying, well, breaking this trend line and is coming very, very close to the bigger trend line. So if we manage to break through that, that would be a great place to go and to operate sells. So that's for the pound yen, and as long as we don't have opposite signs, we can start get going into that, and who knows, that might be a beginning of a possible head and shoulders. So watch that out. Okay, let's move on. Aussie versus the Kiwi. The pair behaves exactly as we want. We got a breakout. So the way it looks right now, this is the critical low that has to hold. And from that moment, this is what we are looking to trade. Now, we do need to pay attention to several news we have this week. One of them is the CPI and a 3-month CPI in Australia to be published on Monday night. Then we have the CB consumer confidence in the US. Bank of Japan policy rate and the outlook report, and advanced GDP in the US this Friday. So that could be the ones that will be effective on the pairs we talked about. So that's basically it for the Aussie Kiwi. Here or here we are going for the retrace and for continuation as long as this low holds. Pay attention to the CPI, that might be the one to be effective. Euro versus the Aussie is another interesting pair on my list because it is creating currently triple cycle down, double cycle up. So if we manage to go below this trend line, which is the correction, then we should be looking to sell rallies. The next one on the list is the New Zealandian versus the Canadian. So far the pair is behaving exactly as we wanted it to do. And that's a very good one because it's paying and will have to be paid, right? So now on the short term, what do we have on this pair? We have a zone for possible corrective cycle. On a daily view, this is the area where we got the first pullback as we wanted, then bearish divergence on the 4-hour chart, continuation. That's our critical area for the short term retrace. So basically we drop to lower time frames, and here I would exactly start looking for these situations and look for the retraces and for the buys. That's for the New Zealandian versus the Canadian. Pound Canadian, a pair that we were after sales, so I'm still after sales here. But I do want to see the pair breaking this low of the weekly, and currently it's holding. So it has to break through this low in order to clean the two candles of the weekly. If it does, perfect, we are for sales, deep sales. If it doesn't, that's a bit suspicious sign for a possible ugly moves here. So what I would like to really see that is this area cleaned, corrections, and sell. This is the ideal plan. The clean could be from here or from here, of course, and the idea is will remain the same. Sell rallies from that moment. The next one on the list is, well, it's a new one. Euro versus the franc. What do we have on this pair? First of all, this huge cycle, we are next to the 61.8. We are dancing around it. The 120 is the psychological level that the Swiss bank was fighting for on 2015, up to 2015. This is a critical place for the pair, and I think we are building up here some kind of a possible retraces down. So this area is the area where I suspect we are going to top and drop. So the best way for that to happen is, of course, to start and create the highs, create the divergence, and then mark the trend line, go below, retest, and start looking for the sells. Pound franc is basically the same. What I would like to see from the pair at this stage is a deep correction down. Now we are trying to break that big trend line, which we have here. The best thing to see on this pair would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, back to this area, and the deeper continuation to this area. So that's for the pound franc. So that's the main things I have on my list for the Forex, at least at the at this stage. Of course, we will update it with the go, right, during the week. Silver, finally we got a breakout that we wanted. So as long as the scenario holds now, we are after buys here or here, we can expect the rallies to continue. The invalidation for this scenario is well, basically the new trend line that is developing right now here. Gold is pretty much the same, but you can see it's still dancing around this area. It was trying to break here, so from my point of view, as long as it holds it, I would be looking for buy scenarios on the dips, which means I would like to see, of course, bullish hidden divergence on these areas, right? Like this, new low, lower lows, and the rally continuation. Oil is next to the 70, the area we wanted to see on a daily chart, finally getting there, finally providing us a possible sells. So we might start to get some false breaks and the drops lower, or the alternative could be some kind of cycle on the 1 hour chart and breakout, and we are for sales. This on the weekly cycle is a critical zone of 50% Fibonacci retrace and a cycle by itself here. Critical zone for reversals. So it's building up. I suspect we might see some clearance here before the move down actually to happen. So follow the evidences for the sales. DAX is on a very good, interesting zone, and we have a critical area right here for possible sales, or we're gonna see a last rally towards a banking zone right here and the drop lower. NASDAQ is breaking below the trend line and giving us the opportunity to count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So as long as we are below it, we can start looking for possible bearish setups by the retraces. Be careful with that. It's a bit aggressive setup in such conditions, so small risk is the best thing to do in that situations. And cryptos are finally in the sexy conditions we were looking at. Ripple, my plan from previous week remains the same. As long as we hold above the invalidation area, buy retraces is the plan. There is a flow of good news around the crypto world recently, finally, and that makes sense that this market is going to be here. We want it or we don't want it. This technology is going to control. So that's all. Same with the Ripple versus the bit. After the break of this trend line, we were dancing on the bottom. Then we got a break of this trend line and finally holding above it. As long as we are above the invalidation, that's a continuation expectation. many shin at this stage, right? Euro versus the euro. Ethereum versus the Bitcoin, exactly as we wanted to see. We got the breakout, we got the continuation, and it pays. So I suspect we remain bullish here. 38.2 up to 50 would definitely remain our first target for the rally. The one that are slightly behind, that's IOTA, which I love. 2 false breaks right here, 1 and 2, and now it's building up the idea of higher highs. Looks wonderful to me. And Zcash, which also is breaking the trend line, holding above it, breaking the false break trend line, bullish divergence on the go, right? Looks wonderful. It's creating the idea of the higher highs. So we are after buys. We can continue with all of them, but the idea would basically remain the same. So that's all for this week. A bit longer, but we have plenty of opportunities, and I wanted to explain the very specific scenarios that we have on the pairs we follow. And of course, I'm going to make a daily follow-up inside the Traders Academy Club in the live trading rooms. So you are invited if you are not a part yet. The links to join me and my club and follow us in the live rooms twice per day are below the video. You have the description, so everything is there for you. You can get a free access, of course, with the brokers programs that we have. That's all for now. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, leave your feedback. If you have any specific instrument you would want me to cover, which I did not cover, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to reply as soon as I can. So if you would like to share the video with anyone who you believe that it can be helpful to, feel free to do so. This video is open for the community, hopefully to be beneficial, helpful, and useful for the trading community. Thank you very much for your time. I wish you a wonderful weekend and a trading week to come. I'm Vladimir Ribakov from Traders Academy Club, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.